Next up, ladies and gentlemen, coming from the mainland of China. He came all the way here from China. I don't even know how long the flight was, 25, 30 hours? Something like that. He came in all the way here to talk about his project, Aavegotchi. Aavegotchi. So let's go ahead and welcome in Coderdan.
Gotcha gang. All right. I'm looking at this crowd, and this is the most bass crowd I've ever talked to. So hell yeah. Woo! Bass. Let me get my gotchi here. There we go. All right. All right. So my name is Coderdan, aka Dan. I'm the CEO of Pixelcraft Studios. We are the lead developers of Aavegotchi. First off, anyone here ever heard of Aavegotchi? Woo! All right. Hell yeah. And also, I want to ask any gamers here in the house today. Got a lot of gamers. All right. Because we're going to be talking about gaming. It's going to be a little bit of tech involved. We're going to be talking about L3s, L2s, L1s, very kind of blockchain. So I'm gonna try to break it down for everyone here. We got a very exciting talk though. A lot of alpha in this talk. So feel free to take, record it, take pictures, whatever you want to do. And we're gonna have some cool stuff at the end. So stay tuned. So the title of today's talk is Based Members Only Gaming L3s. It's a mouthful. What we're trying to do here is we want to pave the way for mass adoption of crypto gaming on Base. We love Base, we love crypto gaming, and we want more people to share in this vision of basically what I see is like being able to play games and just like chill and make money. And that's what a lot of us are doing here in crypto, and like being able to justify that and be like, I'm playing games, but I'm making money. That's what I think is really interesting about the crypto gaming space and what we've done with Aavegotchi. So let's get into it. Before we talk about the L3 stuff, I want to give a little bit of context for what we're going to be talking about. A few stats. So first of all, did you guys know that blockchain games are on average 23 times more transactions than DeFi? That's a lot of transactions. When you're doing a DeFi transaction, you might do a swap or something. But when you're playing a game, you're doing a lot of transactions. It's very taxing on the chain. Okay, so that's stat number one. Stat number two, if you've ever played a crypto game, you probably know that a lot of the users on these crypto games are actually like just bots. They're computers and they're running these like scripts and they're kind of botting the game, which is not good in general. If you're trying to make a crypto game and there's like one guy running like 1,000 accounts, that's not good for your crypto game. It's not going to be sustainable. Your token's probably going to go to zero. So that's a really big problem. And from what I've seen, 40 to 90% of all the accounts in crypto gaming are bots. So that's not good for our industry. There's this word called Sybil attack, which basically means a bunch of bots, a bunch of multi-accounters that are like attacking your protocol all at the same time. And if you guys follow airdrops and things like ZK, the ZK token, Layer 0, there was one airdrop that they did that had industrial farmers that there were 60,000 of these accounts controlled by one guy farming these protocols. And obviously when they get those tokens, they're not going to hold them. They're going to dump them. So that's not good for our industry, and it's something that we at Aavegotchi are really, really intent on trying to find a solution for. So the question basically becomes, how can we give out tokens to people, which is great for user acquisition, while also not being Sybiled and getting all these botters and multi-accounters basically draining our protocol treasuries. But before we get to that answer, we're going to talk a little bit about L3s, because it's a hot topic these days. If you guys are ever on X and you're kind of following the latest narratives, L3 is a really popular topic. So what the hell is an L3? Let's talk about it. There's an amazing article. If you're interested in this topic and want to do more research on it, there's an amazing article by Coinbase Ventures that talks about L3s. I'm not going to link to that, but a lot of the information in this talk does come from that. They like to think of L3s as on-chain servers. Basically, they are separated from L1, which is like, we think of it as Ethereum or Solana, and then there's L2s, which is more like that's a base. Base is an L2 that settles to Ethereum, a little bit technical, but L3s are a layer on top of that, and they're essentially like a server They're separated from the L2s. If there's like a bunch of volatility and gas gets really high on an L2, the L3 is not affected. We can keep doing our gaming as just like we were doing it before. So it's like a separation. And L3s really benefit by the on-ramping that you get from an L2. So for example, with Coinbase, they have amazing on-ramps that we've all used. And this is not live yet, but it's a little bit of alpha. There will eventually be a future where you can get a token that you have on Coinbase and you'll be able to use it on something like an L3, very seamless, very frictionless. And that's like one part of the future that Coinbase is working on. So part of the kind of the thesis or the narrative is that we as an industry are steadily approaching this blockchain app store moment. Okay, what does that mean? First of all, we all remember probably when the App Store came out, apps started exploding. Everyone was going crazy over these different apps, and adoption of the mobile phone technology went up and to the right. It was crazy. We haven't really had that moment yet for crypto. The fact that we're all still kind of early here means that we haven't had that moment, and that is a part of the narrative that Coinbase and Base are also talking about. They want to be the catalyst to have that app store moment. And the only way that we get there is if we can have these low or no fee on-chain environments. Because like no one is going to be doing hundreds or thousands of transactions like we all do on our phones every day, paying a little bit of gas each time. Like this is not going to happen. So if we want to be able to get to that moment, we need to have on-chain environments that have state but are really, 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 really cheap. And that's essentially what L3s are going to be enabling. On top of that, with an L3, you also have these like really interesting tokenomics and utility that you can do by having your community's token. For example, like for us, it's Ghost, but you might have a Boomer or a Doomer or like a degen token. Anyone here have on Farcaster, have degen? So we've degen was kind of some of the pioneers of this. But it's a really cool use case to have your community's token as the gas token for your L3. It kind of aligns everyone's incentives. We're all trying to go in the same way and bring utility to that token. So that's essentially why you want to have an L3. The only way we're going to get to this App Store moment is if we have L3s. And by the way, we're not going to go, there's probably not going to be L4s, L5s, L6s. L3 is essentially where the buck stops. We don't need anything beyond an L3. So for the next thing is like that we talked about. Okay, our title was members only gaming L3s. Why I want to talk about real quick. Why are L3s a perfect match for gaming? You've seen, if you guys follow gaming at all, you've seen Apex and Pirate Nation. You might have seen Senko, which is also their own gaming L3. And you're gonna start seeing more and more gaming projects, especially creating their own L3s. And that's because with an L3 you have super quick block time. You don't have to wait 1 or 2 seconds. It's basically instant. It's super snappy. You also have basically no gas fees. So for a gaming project with 23 times the amount of transactions of a DeFi app, you can't have gas fees, or they have to be super, super small. You can also kind of control who is going to deploy on your network, and that's really important because on public networks, you get these people coming on and they deploy these kind of like farming games that end up just basically spamming the network with a bunch of transactions. Everyone's gas gets really high, and it's a bad experience for everyone. So with an L3, you can kind of control who's going to deploy on your L3, which is really important. And finally, like I mentioned again, gaming especially, most games have their own token, and so you have this ecosystem alignment where you're using your game's token as the gas token. People are holding it, and it's bringing new utility to the token. So that's why we would have gaming L3s. Now, finally, the last part here, why specifically are we so bullish on Base and what I like to call based gaming L3s? Well, as you can see here in this chart, Base, the activity on Base is up and to the right. We're kind of having that App Store moment, but not quite. When we finally get to that moment, like this peak right here is going to look like that on the chart. It's going to be so insanely high when we finally get to that moment that activity on base right now it's going to look so small. So we're super bullish on what Base is doing, and the fact that it's like a very consumer-facing chain, and also that Coinbase has 100 million registered users on the platform. When they start tapping into that even more and more, it's going to be really, really breathtaking. So we're excited. Any L3, we believe, should strongly consider aligning themselves with Coinbase and with Base by settling to Base, and that basically means inheriting the security of Base by writing some of your transactions to the chain. It's a kind of a technical thing. The other part is that Base and Coinbase, like I mentioned a second ago, they have these amazing on-ramps that they're working on, and eventually it will be a totally seamless experience to go from Coinbase Smart Wallet, which we all got going into this event. You'll be able to go there and have a token on there and be able to seamlessly go to any chain that settles onto Base. That's going to be very exciting. And again, also just Base, they've been doing an amazing job scaling the chain. It's been really, really fun to watch the Base team, Jesse Pollack and all the really hard working team at Base scaling all of this type of activity and making sure that gas stays at a reasonable level for everyone on the chain. Because not every chain has been able to do that. So, and finally, just the Base team and our community here is amazing. We've been having great conversations with everyone here at this event. And if you would like to chat after the talk, feel free to come and chat with me. So real quick, putting it all together, what does this mean? Why are we talking about this? Well, we actually just a few days ago announced that we are creating a based gaming L3, and its name is Geist. Geist means German. It means ghost in German, which is fitting because our project, Aavegotchi, has kind of these cute little, you guys can see them here, these cute little ghost digital collectibles. So Geist is the first members-only blockchain built for gaming. So now we're going to come back and talk real quick about what I talked about at the beginning, which is the members-only part. But real quick about Geist, just the stack in case you guys, are developers or interested as a potential meme token if you wanted to think about doing this for yourself. Here's real quickly is our stack. So we're built with Arbitrum Orbit, which gives you basically instant block confirmation. We're settling to Base, which aligns us with this incredibly Base community. We're powered by Alchemy Rollups. Alchemy, shout out to them. They're amazing. They power like 70% of all the stuff that we're doing. You might never have heard of them, but they're super amazing over there. We're using Socket for our chain abstraction that's going to let you go between Base and Geist and other chains. Third Web for account abstraction, which gives you this really seamless user experience. And finally, Ghost as our gas token, which is our Coinbase listed utility token of Aavegotchi. So the key differentiator and why we're building this chain is because, like I talked about at the beginning, there's this massive issue in crypto gaming where you have like a crypto economy where you're giving out these rewards. You have a token, people are playing the game, and they're earning rewards. But because most of the games out there, or all of the games out there, are kind of an open system. And that means that anyone can come in, and even if you ban them for like multi-accounting, it doesn't matter. Because they're just going to spin up 1,000 new accounts, and they're going to keep bodying your game until it's not profitable to do that anymore. And that's what we've seen in just a ton of games out there. So we actually had our own experience with this back in 2022. We had our own crypto game that was like the first version of some of the games that we've been creating, and it got like botted very hard. So we learned a lot from that experience, and we're not going to do that again. So that's why we're kind of making this members-only blockchain. So this is gonna, if you look at this image over here, it's whack-a-mole, and that's essentially what happens when you are building a crypto game. People are always trying to just steal your rewards, basically. So with Geist, it's the first members-only blockchain, and we'll talk about exactly how to become a member in just a sec. But real quick, what is Aavegotchi? We've talked about Aavegotchi a lot. we are a lot of things, but at the end of the day, we're an on-chain gaming universe that focuses on interoperability between your asset. That means basically you can have one Aavegotchi digital collectible, or NFT as they used to be called before the term got canceled. You have one of these Aavegotchis, and you can use it in all of our games. We have 8 games. This is just a small smattering of them. All 8 games that we're working on. We have community-built games made by our community developers, and they're all building these amazing games around this single Aavegotchi asset. Our motto has basically become, use what you own across every game you play, which is like one of the original philosophies of NFTs was that you could take your NFT and play like every game. Now, unfortunately, that did not become kind of the reality that we live in, but it's our vision, and that's what we're trying to project into the world and actually make that a reality. So that's really, really in a nutshell what Aavegotchis are. Aavegotchis themselves are on-chain pets that you're basically raising your pet and keeping it alive and making it love you. So you have these kind of Neo-pets or Tamagotchi-esque avatar that you're bringing to all these different games and playing games with it. It's very wholesome. And so with Aavegotchi, we also have like a really big reward campaign that we're working on, and so for us, it's extremely important that we don't have this Sybil attack that I was talking about earlier. Otherwise, the reward campaign is not really going to work. So the Geist membership, it's a very new model. We're pretty much the first pioneers of this idea, but it's the idea that there aren't like unlimited invites. It's very exclusive. The invites are limited by design, and that means if you're familiar with how a lot of like referral programs work, you generally have your code and you give that code to people, and as many people can sign up as there are out there. That's a big issue with crypto gaming because you're going to get these multi-accounters. So in our design, the invites are limited, which means there's only going to be a finite amount of invites at any given time, and once you redeem that invite, you can't get another one. Essentially, what that's going to unlock is if someone gets banned in our game for breaking the rules, they can't just spin up 1,000 more accounts. It makes people kind of think more and be a little bit more picky about who they invite into our ecosystem, which is good. The philosophy here is kind of like a nightclub. You're not just going to let anyone into your nightclub because that's going to, a lot of people will come in and they they'll ruin the vibe. So essentially we've taken that principle and we've applied it to a blockchain. How are we going to give these invites out? First of all, Aavegotchi NFT holders are going to be, they're our core community. They've been with us for many years. Some of them have been with us for 4 years. So these are like hardcore community members, really, really deeply involved in the project, and they're going to be the ones that are receiving the initial batch of invites. But you could also pick up an Aavegotchi today and be eligible for that airdrop as well. We'll also be doing these like limited batches of invites that will be given out to KOLs, people who have their own communities, partner projects, and things like that. But again, it will be kind of limited on a limited scale. It's not just going to be a free-for-all, because otherwise that would undermine what we're trying to do. And the membership program itself will be it's going to be a paid program. So people they'll be invited, they'll redeem their invite code, and there will be a membership fee to be able to basically get into our exclusive little blockchain and start earning all these rewards that we're going to be giving. So we have a very different philosophy than what you might see out there in a lot of crypto gaming. Our philosophy is basically steady and intentional growth. We're not trying to have that like unbounded kind of extremely viral moment where we get botted and everything goes like that and then goes back down. We want to have more kind of steady intentional growth. For today, because you guys are here, everyone here is super based. You're part of the base community. So we actually have we're not going to be doing this a lot, but because this is pretty much the kind of a celebration of this event and everyone being here, we actually have a special invite that is, if you scan this QR code, it's going to go to a type form. And if you fill out that type form with your email and your wallet, and then you go and mint a free NFT on Zora, You will be basically added to a special list of I'll move over so everyone can scan it. You'll be added to a special list of people that signed up to this during the Onchain Summit, and you'll get it'll be very easy, a much higher priority to get an invite to Geist when it does launch. Any developers in the house? Okay, I see a few. We also are, Geist is going to be a kind of a permissioned network for developers. You can't just come on and like deploy a smart contract and try and eat up all the gas on our platform. So if you have like a game or a dApp or an idea, it could be anything, feel free to also scan this, and you can apply to build on Geist, a dApp or a game, whatever. We also have a very active DAO. It's a decentralized autonomous organization with a pretty sizable treasury, and they love funding dApps and tooling and games around Aavegotchi. So if you have a really cool idea, there's also a good chance that you could actually get some funding from our DAO. Finally, I just mentioned earlier this Ghost token. This is our token. It's a beautiful token, and it's the governance token of Aavegotchi. It's also going to become the gas token of Geist. And if you are interested in picking up tokens here at this event, it is listed on Coinbase and Binance and many dexes and exchanges that you might enjoy using. It's got a 50 million supply, fully diluted. We've never had any like VCs in our project, so fully community funded. And what I like to think is like a good example of how to do things right in crypto. So anyway, thanks for attending my talk here. Thank you. All right. And feel free to follow me on X and also Aavegotchi. And here's the QR codes that I put out in a second ago. So thank you guys so much, and thank you from Aavegotchis.
One more hand for Aavegotchi. He came all the way from China for this.